What's going on, y'all? My name is Deron Shields, and I am finally back for my next movie review. I'm actually dubbing my reviews real movie reviews. It's a double entendre, obviously. But at the end, I'll do a scoring system of reels 1 through 10 for the movie. And speaking of what movie it is, it's actually going to be the movie Weapons that came out. It's probably been like a couple months ago at this point. And it actually just released on streaming. I saw it in theaters once, but I rented it on Prime Video just because I wanted to give it another viewing. Weird story, during my viewing of it in theaters, we actually had a tornado warning, so we all had to go to the hallway of the movie theater. And for like about 15 minutes, they had to pause the movie, and then we had to come back and finish the movie. So I think that kind of threw off some of the pacing or whatever, viewing wise. So I wanted to give it another shot with at home. So I did that just a minute ago, and now I'm back to do a review. So this is my review of Weapons. Weapons is about a incident in a small town. I don't know what they're meaning to depict, like a specific or a real place, a location. But at 2:17 a.m., a bunch of, I think about 18 kids all get up and run out of their house, all at once from separate places. Into the night, and all the parents are obviously dismayed, confused about what's going on, and how all of them did this, and then it kind of goes from there. And then the mystery of how this all happened and why it all happened is what we get as the movie. So I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit the first time, and I watched it the second time a second ago, and I actually enjoyed it probably a little bit more. And I feel like some of the scenes, even though I had already seen them, kind of hit a little harder, especially some of the more grisly gore scenes or whatever. And this has a little bit of that, but I think it was very well acted. Josh Brolin is in there as a Harper. Julia Garner is the lead, or somewhat the lead of the movie for part of the movie as Justine. And I liked her in Ozark. I watched Ozark as well. And then, actually, I don't know the actress's name, but the one that plays Gladys in this movie, the grandmother, is probably my favorite acting in the movie. And so I'll kind of get through some of my points about it. And at the end, I'll give it a score. So thank y'all for watching my second movie review. And I'm gonna make these a little bit more consistent. I would like to do maybe a movie Monday, where at least either I post on a Monday or I film on that Monday, and then eventually maybe I could do it on Monday live, like a Patreon thing. I don't have a Patreon yet, but if y'all think that's a good idea, let me know. I did like a lot of the cinematography in the movie. I think throughout, really from literally the first shot of the movie, they were doing this almost like what do they call that, vertigo effect, where the camera's moving and zooming at the same time, and it kind of gives this almost disorienting, shift in perspective, parallax type of effect. I like creative shots like that. That's, it's been done before, but I like when it's done well, and I feel like it's really done well in this movie, along with a lot of other shots, a lot of nice tracking shots, a lot of nice lighting, I think, in throughout the movie. So I think it's very well shot and very well made on an aesthetic level, on a polished level. I also like the beginning, the montage of the kids running out of the house at 2:17 a.m. Is using kind of a almost melancholy type of song, and I think that's a nice contrast to the strangeness of what they're doing, the little running with the arms out thing. And I think that was smart too, or at least it works in the movie's favor, that there's this the thing that we can easily track to this movie, this little hand posture. I think that kind of just went toward the marketing and the hook of the movie. I think that visual. It's filled with a lot of different Easter egg little things sprinkled throughout the movie that I saw. I think I saw some of them the first time, but I definitely saw a few more on the second viewing just a minute ago. Marcus, played by the guy that plays Wong, I don't know the actor's name, but him and his husband's scene where they were about to eat and watch TV, or he was watching TV, you could hear what they're talking about on TV is ants. And they're talking about things being controlled by a mind outside of their own, and kind of like a hive mind type of scenario, but it's being played kind of in the background. And I think they intentionally want you to kind of catch on if you are looking closely enough, but it's kind of if you're not listening, you wouldn't have heard that. That Justine's board in the class, they show a couple times, and she has information about parasites as if she had been teaching about parasites. So there's like this parasitic kind of through line. And I think even the grandmother says something about when she explains what the parents or why the parents can't be present. She said they're suffering from a case of consumption. So yet again, another kind of like parasitic type of thing, like almost like a tapeworm or like a parasite type of concept being like hammered throughout or just like laced throughout the movie. One of my favorite shots is a long, just like one shot of the house with Justine sitting outside in her car, and when she fell asleep, and then the door opens up, and then the mother of Alex, under like the kind of zombie state, kind of comes out with the scissors or whatever. That long shot zooming out as she's coming toward the car is like super. I think the one shot of it, the continuity of that, it makes it seem more real because it's all happening in one. Like the pacing of it is completely in real time. So it makes it seem like it's a little bit more of an objective point of view, and I think that kind of makes it unsettling, especially with the music and all that stuff. So that was one of my favorite shots, as far as like the effectiveness of it, as far as being like spooky or just being like creepy, I guess. One thing I did notice also is there's a lot of like face-oriented gore in the movie. They got the scene with the parents like using the forks poking themselves in the face. They got the peeler, the fruit peeler or whatever, that she uses on the Paul's face once he's like, under the consumption thing. The Marcus character, he does the headbutting into his husband's face until it's like just pounded in. All face oriented stuff, and I think that maybe that was intentional too. Just I feel like I would assume that the average viewer would have a little bit of a visceral reaction to like face, because it's just kind of an uncomfortable thing to look at. Even like the hand pricking when she would do the little ritual or whatever, that like they would always show it, and it kind of made you feel uncomfortable. And I think that was intentional, kind of giving you more tension to underbed what the story was. And there was a lot more jokes, I guess, in this movie, a lot more humor than I would have assumed with it being such a dark horror movie at certain times. There's a lot of jokes, especially when it came to the forgot his name, but the homeless guy that was going around. He had a lot of the comic relief stuff, a lot of comedic timing. There's like a WTF moment with Josh Brolin when he was having like a nightmare, and it was timed very like comedically. So and I think it worked, and it kind of gave a little bit of levity to the movie, and kind of reminds you, okay, we're in a movie. It kind of like lightened the mood a little bit. I do feel like toward the end, it went off the rails toward the comedy, like the way that they were playing it out, even though it was like, it was some of the more grisly stuff. Yet again, another face thing when they ripped her apart and all kind of from the jaw type of thing. It was pretty intense. But at that point, like the running through the people's houses and stuff, that whole montage, it had like a comical spin to it, a comical like display of it, I feel like. And I think that it kind of worked for it. It was almost like I wouldn't call the movie a horror comedy, but it definitely had its like intentional comedic moments throughout it. One thing I didn't understand even on the second view is the big assault rifle that appeared in Josh Brolin, the character Harper's like nightmare or whatever, over the house, and they had the .217 on it. The .217 is like, okay, the time, but the assault rifle thing, I didn't necessarily get the significance or like the symbolism of that. And I think I might have heard that some people have a theory that the movie has some sort of like undertone or like secret underlying message of like something about school shootings or like mass shootings or whatever. So yeah, maybe in the comments y'all can tell me what that, if you know what that means, the big assault rifle with the .217 on it. If I had a negative criticism toward this movie, it would probably only be toward the pacing of the movie. I think it's a little over 2 hours runtime. And I think a lot of it is eaten up by the different like perspectives. They did like this, a lot of like telling of the same day or like the same, span of time, but from different people's perspective. And it was very well done. The continuity that they would use, like the shot that you would see the other version of that would transition you to a different point of view. I think they did that really well. When it goes to that, like jumping from vantage point and perspective to perspective in movies, I feel like sometimes it could be kind of like tiring because okay, here we go, we're about to you see it again. But I think each time they would shift perspectives, it would add context and it would add like flesh out the characters or whatever. It did make for more runtime, but it ultimately did kind of develop the story and the characters. So I think it's kind of, there's pros and cons, I think, to that kind of a story, but because we shift a lot, between Marcus, between Paul, the homeless guy, back and forth Justine, and then we spend a lot of time with Alex. It's about an hour and 20 minutes in before you see the whole like ritual being done for the first time, I think. And that's about a movie's length of time, like average movie length of time. And you're only just then at the hour and 20 mark getting an idea, okay, this is exactly what's going on. There's a lot of mystery before that and a lot of like mystique. So I think the pacing was a little on the slower side. I think the story was interesting and it was very original. I feel like for the most part, that obviously I'm sure that there's probably some similarities between it and some previous works or whatever, but I don't remember recently anything of this kind of a storyline. One thing I kind of took away, it seemed like the grandmother Gladys was like using people almost like batteries, and she had them like the kids in the basement, almost like there's like a big generator. There's a bunch of cells in a generator or something like that, and that would like give her energy to be whatever she was, a witch or whatever. Another thing I think that they did well is like there's a couple of times where we as the audience we know what's going on with something, and the characters in there don't, and I think that adds to like a certain suspense for the audience members or the viewers. I think one was the scene where when Donna, Paul's girlfriend or whatever, confronts Justine or kind of like blindsides her and grabs her or whatever. We can see her in the background following her well before she even like makes contact. So the audience knows this is coming, and we're tense because we can see that and the character doesn't see it. So it's like a look behind you type of scenario. All right, so that is my review of the movie Weapons. I really enjoyed it a lot more on the second view somehow. Maybe the whole tornado warning thing that I had when I watched it in theaters kind of messed up the pacing for me, but the second view I liked it a lot more, and I probably am going to give it a higher score now that I've seen it a second time than I would have before. But so for my first dubbed real review, I'm going to give Weapons, the movie, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 reels out of 10. I think it was really well done. Really, my main only gripe was with the pacing. It was a little slow. It took a little while to get there with some of the plot points. But I think otherwise it was well done and looked great. I think the acting was great. I think the music actually was really good. So I definitely would recommend it if you like a horror type of thing. With that is my review of the movie Weapons. Thank y'all for watching to this point. If you would give me a like, subscribe to the channel to give me just the idea that you want to see more content like this. Comment what you thought about some of the theories about weapons, about the assault rifle thing, but other stuff too maybe I didn't touch on. And I did see my post results as far as the poll about what movie do you guys want to see me review, and one of the options was was it 8666 or 6888 by Tyler Perry, and I will be reviewing that. So that may be my next review, but I'll definitely be getting around to that one because that was the one that was voted, and I want to make that incentive for you guys to engage with the posts. So I will be reviewing the ones that you guys actually pick in those types of posts. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, give a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And with that, my name is Deron Shields, and I'm out.